Chapter 1. The night of firsts, the street pulsed with life, a river of young adults spilling from one bar to the next, laughter and music mingling with the warm night air. Neon signs flickered above, casting a kaleidoscope of colors over the bustling crowd. Tonight was special, more than just another weekend. Tonight they were free. Graduates, now officially adults, celebrating the transition into the unknown. Inside one of the more crowded bars, Ryo sat at a high table with his friends, his dress shirt unbuttoned at the collar, his tie slightly loosened but still in place from the ceremony earlier that day. He had always been the responsible one, the good boy, the one who politely declined drinks at parties, the one who made sure his friends got home safely. But tonight, he had decided to let go, just this once. The first sip had been bitter, the burn unexpected. The second was smoother. By the third, his world had softened, his limbs light and wobbly, his mind pleasantly fuzzy. He swayed in his seat, laughing loudly as he and his friends belted out an off-key rendition of a song no one could quite remember the lyrics to. The night was wild, glorious, the kind of night that would be recounted in drunken nostalgia for years to come. And then he saw her. She entered the bar like a ripple through still water, an unspoken hush falling over the room. The glow of the dim, hanging lights caught the shimmer of her red dress, hugging every graceful curve as she moved through the crowd with effortless poise. Her golden hair cascaded over bare shoulders, framing a face so striking that even the most inebriated turned their heads in quiet admiration. For a moment, time itself seemed to hesitate. The music, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, all dulled beneath the weight of her presence. Even Ryo, in his intoxicated haze, felt the shift in the air. She reached the bar, slipping onto a stool with an easy elegance, oblivious to the eyes lingering on her. Ryo swallowed hard, his heart pounding a little too fast. Maybe it was the alcohol, maybe it was the way the world had narrowed to just her. But he knew, this night, this moment, was about to change everything. A long, wet fart from a corner of the bar let everyone know it was okay to breathe again, but at your own risk because of the fart smell. Ryo gripped his glass, his fingers tightening around the condensation-slick surface. He had spent the last hour stealing glances at the beauty in red, watching her from across the bar like a nervous schoolboy. His friends had egged him on, but every time he even thought about getting up, his legs refused to move. He was drunk, but not enough to ignore the sinking feeling in his gut, the weight of his own hesitation. Just talk to her already, man. One of his friends nudged him. What is the worst that could happen? Plenty. He could stumble over his words. She could laugh in his face. Worse, she could be waiting for someone else. Or worse yet, she could solve all of the mysteries of the world for him, and his life would forever be one big bore. But then, as if possessed by a force greater than himself, Ryo finally willed his body into motion. He exhaled sharply, planted his feet on the ground, and took a bold, shaky step forward. And then he stopped. A young man with spiky white hair and an open dress shirt stepped in front of him, blocking his path like an immovable wall. His lean frame was deceptive. He carried himself with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight, his smirk radiating sheer arrogance. "Where do you think you are going, Thai boy?" The words were low, rough, almost amused. Ryo blinked, his booze-addled mind taking a second to process the situation. Oh, I know what you were just. The stranger, Rich, cut him off. His grin widened, his teeth sharp under the dim bar lights. You were about to embarrass yourself. You, talking to her. He scoffed, flicking a finger against Ryo's chest. Are you trying to insult that beauty with your small pepe? You should thank me for stopping you. Some guys just do not know their place in the pecking order. I am the one making babies tonight. Ryo staggered slightly at the flick, more from the alcohol than the impact, his brain catching up to what had just been said. Dude, what? Rich laughed, loud and condescending. Get out of here, loser. A woman like that is full of questions, and I have answers. You look like you do not even know your own name right now. That was enough to snap Ryo out of his daze. His face flushed, not just from the drinks, but from the sheer audacity of this bastard. The argument started small. A snarky remark here, a push there. Then it escalated. Back and forth, words slurred and fists half-clenched, neither willing to back down. Their friends occasionally stepped in, dousing the flames before things got too heated. But Ryo was done. Done being a pushover. Done letting some self-proclaimed alpha ruin his night. And then everything changed. Rich took a step back, raised his fists, and ignited them. Flames burst to life around his knuckles, dancing with raw, untamed power. The heat shimmered in the air between them, making the surrounding bargoers instinctively take a step back. The glow of his fire fists flickered dangerously, a combination of destructive strength and elemental mastery. A hush fell over the bar. This was not just some bar fight anymore. This was a display of talent. A skill like fire fists was no joke. It guaranteed a man a well-paying job, security, power, as long as he lived to use it. The ability gave the user superhuman strength as well as the ability to burn your enemies. Ryo, however, was not scared. No, he was fascinated. He stepped closer, eyes wide, entranced by the flames. Holy shit, that is real. I have never seen a skill up close before. He leaned in as if getting a better look, his face mere inches from Rich's glowing fist. He grabbed Rich's hands. A small white glow began emanating from his own. Rich blinked. This was not the reaction he was expecting. "You," he scowled, jerking his hands away and extinguishing the flames. "What the hell, man? You are supposed to run away or beg for mercy, not nerd out over it. What are you going to do next? Kiss me?" Ryo ignored him. His mind was spinning, not from fear, but from sheer wonder. How does it work? Does it hurt? Do you have to think about it, or does it just happen? Rich's face twisted in frustration. This idiot. And then she moved before they even noticed. Before either of them could react, the girl in red stepped toward them, her piercing blue eyes locked onto their bickering figures. The room seemed to tilt slightly, or maybe that was just the alcohol. But neither young man had time to react before something else ignited. Her hands. Flames erupted from her fingers, brighter and harder than Rich's, illuminating her face with an almost ethereal glow. The chatter in the bar turned into stunned silence. Ryo barely managed a whoa before her fists swung forward. She stated aloud, 2 hours I waited for this. With inhuman precision, she grabbed both of them by the skull and smashed their heads together with a resounding crack. Stars exploded behind Ryo's eyes. The last thing he saw before the world went black was that striking red dress and the smirk tugging at the corner of her lips. The warmth of her hand on his head relaxed his entire body. It felt like the warmth of a campfire on a cold winter's night. And then darkness.